Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Citizens of Lorcana podcast, a podcast where we invite you to be a part of their world. Today, we are taking a break from ranking the most iconic cards as we turn our attention to the first ever Lorcana Continentals. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to another week. Last week, we gave what, in our opinion, are some of the most iconic cards in Lorcana. So if you haven't had a chance to go listen to that, we ranked the cards from 1 to 3 cost in each ink color. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, make sure to go back and listen. But today, we want to talk about something historic that just happened. The first ever Lorcana Continentals happened. And joining us today to talk about it is none other than Mr. Gamer himself, Mr. Eric Switzer. Eric, how's it going?
Please, Mr. Gamer's my father. Hello, gentlemen. It's been too long.
Jr. It's been a while.
It's been so long that the last time I was on the show, there wasn't video. We did it off camera back in the day.
Wow.
Back in season 1.
We were so young back then.
Hey, before we jump into it, can I bring something up? Because it has been so long. I was not here to talk about when James won his set champ.
Oh,
Let's do it.
Boy, that was a blast, man. So I was in Japan. I was like in Akihabara. I was like looking for Japanese Mickeys, watching it on my phone, watching the live stream. It was so cool that he got to win on the live stream. It was so cool that he got to win at one of our stores at Kingslayer. And we want to be world champs. We want to make our day twos and get invited to the ball. But like he and I are both kind of new to card games, and it's just really cool to get that that progress. You know what I mean? To get that cool. W.
I wasn't in Japan in Ikebara or wherever he said. I was in Las Vegas, but I was also watching the live stream.
Yeah, it was awesome having you guys. I knew
that's
you guys.
My co-host.
Yeah. I had been able to see that on the YouTube comments or whatever that you guys were posting. And
that we were judging your plays.
Yeah, every once in a while I'd see pop up on my phone something from Eric in a message. He's like, "What are you doing?"
But you were tired.
Hey, no, he didn't need us at all, man. He took it on. It was awesome. Really, really cool thing. So yeah, I know that was I don't know, a month ago or something now, but
James, maybe you can ride the LCQ all the way to a Continental.
That's right.
Championship.
And well, that's, I mean, we're putting the what is it, the lead in front of the whatever,
the cart, putting the cart in front of the horse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an amazing story, and it's giving hope to everyone going into the LCQs everywhere.
Hooray.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
sorry.
Let's get into it. So Eric, as always, welcome. It's weird saying welcome considering I just saw you yesterday.
True.
It's always great to have you on. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the Continental experience, but let's talk about your high-level thoughts on the whole thing from what you saw.
High level. Well, it went well by all accounts. I wasn't there. But it sounded like it was a great event. It was a lot of fun to watch. The stream was great. The casters were great. The competition was great, especially that last game.
Yeah.
So I watched all of it and was paying attention to the buzz and the hubbub. And there's some things to critique, as always, and I enjoy doing that. But overall, sounds like it was a really positive experience. I saw Mickey and Minnie were there. I think that's great. I think that's exactly what should be happening, especially if they're giving out those signature cards, right?
Yeah.
So it sounded like the Turbo Zone stuff went good and whatever. I know they had originally advertised that this was going to be the first like Quest event, Disney Lorcana Quest, and then they kind of stopped using that branding, but they still did kind of questy stuff with like Turbo Zone and with the meet and greet signage stuff. So sounds like a cool event. I want, bigger and better. I can imagine from years of doing, Pokemon Worlds and competitive events like that for esports, I can imagine what it could be like, years down the line, how big it could be, and I hope it gets there for sure. I think it will.
That's actually what we wanted to ask next, which is you've been to those events, you've been to Worlds multiple times,
yeah, mm-hmm.
And so in those other games, we weren't there, of course, but from the vibe you got from online of what you could see there, did it feel as big and grand and epic as Pokemon Worlds has felt? I mean, you've been there, so you felt the big and grandness. And you've told me about it, and it sounds big and grand. And I mean, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but was this that?
No. Well, first of all, like, we'll have to compare Worlds to Worlds, right? But I've been to regional finals for Pokemon. The thing is, like, it's also hard to compare for so many reasons. Pokemon's been around forever, but Pokemon's also lots of games, Yeah. And I'm sorry, my cat's trying to ruin the show. And so, I mean, I know we're playing Villainous and we have different, like, kind of game modes, and they're adding new ones all the time, which is great, but it was 96 competitors, right? Yeah. Like, Worlds is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And big Pokemon events, like their nationals and their world event, it's like a convention. There's so much going on, and it's spread out across the city, and they're doing drone shows at night, and they have parades, and it's like, it's big time, man. And that's all stuff Disney, no one does better than Disney, right? So, hopeful for the future. Not a bad start for the first year. I'll say that.
Yeah. I don't expect that this year at all. I don't even expect it next year at all, for that level of taking over a city, but I do expect
year 3.
I have
I have
some expectations that were not met, but it doesn't have anything to do with the scale or the scope of the European finals, or for Worlds for that matter. Just having them at the park, I think, is enough for this first one. That is huge. I'm really glad that happened.
Yeah, there's gonna be fireworks there, I'm sure, at the park. So
lean out,
not quite drones.
Walk out the convention center hotel front door and watch them from the sidewalk, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not like like Mickey's going to be handing the winner his binder in front of the castle or anything like that. But maybe someday.
That's a good idea.
His or her.
Right. Okay. So let's get into the competition. So I want to start with the feel-good story that James already alluded to. That's giving lots of people a lot of hope. That's regarding the winner, one Domingo Martinez. Domingo lost in the morning LCQ pod. Got a spot in an evening. So LCQ, last chance qualifier, for those who aren't familiar with that lingo. So he got a spot in the evening pod, and he went on to win his pod, secure a spot in the tournament, and then went on to win the whole thing. Now, I know there are some controversies about being able to get a spot in both a morning and an evening pod, but regardless of how you feel, it's still a pretty inspirational story. What do you guys think of that?
I mean, he had to win so much for 3 days, right?
Like, that is a long event.
You imagine that the winner has always won the most games by just virtue of playing the most. That's not necessarily true, because you can draw in Swiss rounds. You might not necessarily have won the most games when you win a DLC, but he also won the 5 games of the LCQ. So, like, for sure won the most games of anybody there over the weekend. That's incredible consistency. Just winning a LCQ is huge, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same percentage chance. You have a 3% chance, 1 in 32 chance of winning your pod as one of the LCQ members. And everybody's saying how that's the same percentage as making day 2 at a DLC.
Right.
That's incredibly hard to do.
I was only in one DLC in Vegas. That was mentally exhausting, and that was just one. Okay, well, I guess I did events the second day, but of the main competition, that was only one day. I cannot imagine doing 2 5-round events, and who knows? I don't know how far he went in his morning pod, but he did 2 pods, and then day 1 and then day 2.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Lorcana.
Yeah.
He's played more Lorcana in those 3 days than I've probably played the last year.
Yeah. So like no issue with a LCQ player winning, obviously, and no issue with him getting 2 shots at it, other than that the NA players don't get 2 shots at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get like it's not. Is it really a last chance qualifier if you get 2 last chances? But whatever. If NA and EU had the same rules, I don't think there'd be anything to complain about. It just seems unfair, right? Like if we're all playing Worlds together, if all regions have the same rules when we finally get to Worlds, then everybody should have the same equal path to get there, right? And NA players don't get 2 last chance qualifiers; they get 1.
So the argument then surfacing from the EU side is, well, you guys had 6 DLCs and we had 4. Why can't we? And it's like, well, but we still have the same 1,000 spots.
Same number, yeah.
LCQ. They didn't like give you guys double by doing 1,000 in the morning and 1,000 in the evening. There's only 1,000. So
yeah,
people taking a morning and an afternoon means less than 1,000 people got to compete in an LCQ.
Right. Yeah. And also, like, it's a big country. it's almost multiple regions, isn't it? Like from LA to Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that like for sure? This is bigger than all of Europe.
Landmass wise, it's pretty big.
I bet player wise, it's probably a lot bigger too.
Oh yeah,
my gut feeling.
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if it's the same number of spots, it should be the same rules. I think James is right. Yeah, it's just kind of it's a little, that part's a little disappointing. And then what's the other thing? It's escaping my mind now. Never mind. Move on.
Do you think this is something that now that it has happened, that maybe Ravensburger wasn't entirely aware that they were allowing the same person to buy 2 different slots, and now they're going to lock it down? Or is it something that they are just going to allow to happen if it happens again and not really worry about it?
Yeah, it's just 2 different organizers, right? There's a lot of differences. Like all the deck lists after day 1, everybody that makes day 2 on the NA side, their deck lists show up. Deck lists. But on the EU side, it's only if the players share them. Like otherwise, the players are only getting to see that deck list right before they play. Like there's a lot of little differences between NA events and EU events, despite ostensibly being the same organization. They're just run differently.
And that's what I'm getting across too, is the fact that Ravensburger almost seems hands off. It's almost like they said, "Here, tournament organizer, organize an event for us," but it's like the EU and NA play by different rules. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea what the oversight is or whose decision is what or anything like that. I have no idea. But they should be the same.
They should be the same. It should be uniform.
I agree. I agree with me.
Okay. So anything else about the LCQs you want to talk about, James?
Artifacts and Lorcana decks both making out of the LCQ is pretty cool. I think they do a great show, and I'm glad that they made the cut, because Artifacts played all the European DLCs and didn't make it until the LCQ. So good for him. Congratulations.
And he was so close. He was, I think, 1 or 2
1 point
away from making it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So close.
All right. So let's talk about this winning deck here from Domingo Martinez.
Sure.
It is once again Ruby Amethyst, and I'm gonna pull it up here.
You're talking to a couple of Ruby Amethyst experts.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let you guys take away. I'm gonna pull it up in my window here, and then I'm gonna share it on the screen.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you'll notice once you see this list, if you haven't seen it yet, is it's standard Ruby Amethyst. There is nothing.
It is not very spicy.
It is not super spicy. The In fact, it is so not spicy that there is only 4 Azurite Sea cards in the entire 60 card list, and that's the 4 genies, which is kind of crazy. I mean, it's understandable, because Ruby Amethyst has always been good, and it continues to be good. I think that everyone that was watching this weekend knows that everyone on stream was pointing out that the spicy level was spicy because of the Bell, the 5 cost accomplished mystic, the 4/4 2 lore with the ability of moving 3 damage from a character to a chosen opposing character.
That was your guys' spice.
Yeah, we played that in did we play it in both Vegas and Seattle, or just Seattle?
I don't recall. I know we played it in Seattle for sure, but that was in our Amethyst Emerald. Emerald. Yeah. We love Bell. It is a difficult card to play around, particularly when it's not being played widely. That it's a very good surprise card, because it can shift damage however you want, right? Like I know people have kind of caught on now, but you don't have to move damage from my character to your character. We can move damage from one of your characters to another one of your characters. And actually, in your set champ, James, you had an incredible play moving damage from one of their characters to banish something even more threatening on their side. And those are the kind of plays that make Bell so valuable. But in this particular meta, she is a genie face-off answer. And you saw in that final game that both players, both decks, the Ruby Amethyst and the Amethyst Emerald, were playing the Bell because one genie can run into another on turn 5, and then you drop the Bell and move that 2 damage, healing your genie and banishing theirs. So a really great alternative to Elsa. Of course, Elsa can just come down and you can run both of them in. Bell more situational than Elsa, right? Elsa does a lot of other things, but that's a particularly good use for Bell, as well as just sort of like answering multiple aggro threats. You run into something and then drop the Bell and banish something else. It's a really good tempo turner that we've been on for a while. But it's really all about the genie, right? Like that's sort of the story of this set, is how Genie is bringing all the Amethyst decks up, and now everyone's having to build their decks around answering Genie.
Right. The meta shifted to everyone warping their decks to face Diablo. To now, the Genie is the meta warper, and right. So now that's what everyone's going to have to answer. And so what we're seeing here is the mainstay of Ruby Amethyst, of course, just rolling through this competition. Proving once again that consistency over the course of a multi-day event is one of the most important things. The Emerald Steel deck that won the last 2 North American DLCs was fairly consistent, obviously because it won so much, but it also was the kind of deck that can lose easily as well. And if you have the right answers like this deck has so much draw that you can counter what the Emerald Steel deck is doing.
There's a little meme that I made. Ruby Amethyst in 2050, still winning all the Lorcana tournaments.
Yeah, so Ruby Amethyst won a total of 2 DLCs, one in Europe and one in North America.
But it feels like they won all of them, Eric, okay?
Well, yeah, I think those of us who have been playing from the start will never get over our trauma from set 1 and set 2 Ruby Amethyst, for sure. It's a very different deck now, but it's what James and I like to say, or James and I came up with this, that it's the most fair deck in the game. It is skill driven to the max. It has very few good matchups and very few bad matchups. And if you can learn how to pilot that deck into every other deck, you really have a good chance of being successful with it. You're almost never going to run into a situation where like, oh, this is a terrible matchup for me. It did feel that way in the Bucky meta for sure. But even against Diablo, those games never felt unwinnable. You really just never have situations with with Ruby Amethyst that feel unwinnable. So that's why it's such a good choice.
It's hard to argue with consistency, that's for sure.
And so before we talk about the rest of it, one of the things that was new or unique is that the finals featured a new format, the best of 5.
Yeah.
Which you said you watched the whole thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I watched the whole weekend.
What did you think of the best of 5?
It's great. That's pretty standard for like big. I keep wanting to say regional. I guess it is regional, right? National, worlds. Yeah, most games are going to do that. It's good. I mean, more games is always better. It's more fun to watch. It makes it more exciting. It also gave the player on the draw here the 2 more opportunities to turn it around, right? Because our winner started on the draw, and then in game 3 flipped it, won on the draw. So sometimes watching just the best of 3 when the player on the play goes first, it's not that they don't deserve it, but there's a little bit of this feeling like, well, yeah, of course they won. They went first, and that's still going to be the case in the best of 5. Somebody has to go first. But more games makes it more interesting and makes it feel more fair.
Well, and I think, was it Steve or somebody that put out, they said our statistics show that the person on the play wins 53% of the times. So
that was so long ago, man.
That was so long ago. But what I'm saying is that by creating more opportunities, it decreases that variance. I mean, it comes down to more skill than the luck of the draw, the luck of the coin.
Yeah. I mean, you have to assume statistically that over more games, the better player will win more often, right? That's kind of what it comes down to. I don't know. When that was what, set 3, I think, when he said that in that interview. And who knows anymore? Like, that was in card game time. That was a millennia ago. So
they would have been testing the stuff we're seeing now and coming up.
Oh yeah, even stuff we haven't seen back then, right? So I personally am still hopeful that once we have enough sets, we'll be able to switch back to a best of 3. I know it's not just the coin flip. I know that it's also a matter of time. But other card games do it, dude. It's okay, The
game is speeding up, though.
The game is speeding up. Yes, I agree. Yes,
those grueling 30-minute Ruby Sapphire mirror matches or the Ruby Amethyst mirror matches are almost gone.
And even Ruby Sapphire speeding up, as we could see from our top seed from day 1, a much faster Ruby Sapphire deck. Yeah, with the Flynns and the Sisus. Very interesting.
And I know we bring this up all the time, but one of the things that Ryan said when he's on with us was that the 2-game format is not locked in stone. I do think that it's locked in stone for this rotation, but once Worlds is up, I have a feeling they're going to give a good, hard, long look at it and decide what they're going to do going forward.
That will certainly be the time when the conversations start, when people start really pushing to move away from it. I will be a little surprised if next year isn't also 2-game format, but I am hopeful that someday we can just go to best of 3s, because I say this, it might not be true, but I really think I would rather lose a best of 3 than tie a 2-game. I really do. I really just walk away from ties like we both feel terrible. We are both, me and my opponent are both disappointed. Nothing has been accomplished.
Okay. I want to bring this back to the best of 5.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that this is something that they should implement in the DLC level?
Just for the finals? Sure. Yeah, why not?
I think it's a great idea. I totally think.
Let me think. I said sure, why not? But I hadn't really thought about it. Yeah, sure, why not?
It's a little different timing wise, because this was a top 16 day and a DLC day 2 is a top 64 day.
Yes. Yeah. It would be weird to make a DLC more grueling than the European finals.
Yes.
Right.
It's fair.
I don't think the level of competition is necessarily that much higher when you think about all the fantastic players that didn't make Worlds. You know, like
I'm just thinking about
games are hard no matter what.
I'm just thinking about how epic that finals was, and it'd be really cool to see that more often.
Yeah, it was really fun. James and I have been talking about this a lot about how Emerald Amethyst last set, Shimmering Skies, absolutely favored into Ruby Amethyst. We brought it to Seattle. I dominated all the Ruby Amethyst games that I played, and we just felt like from all of our testing, it was just not a problem. It was just so easy to get underneath it. But now, when they're both leaning into Genie so hard, and Ruby has so many more ways to deal with it, right? Because they've got 4 Brawl, they've probably got 2 Medusa, they've got Belle, they've got Elsa, and while the Amethyst Emerald player only has the Amethyst cards, can only do a Crab plus a Genie, or an Elsa plus a Genie, or a Genie plus a Belle. Like, because Ruby is best equipped to, and Big Sisu, Ruby's best equipped to deal with Genie, it feels like Ruby Amethyst has the edge up over Emerald Amethyst now, and you know, it winning the EU finals sort of supports that argument.
And on the flip side, the argument of everyone this set, once the set was in hands and people were playing with it, everyone's like, Emerald Amethyst has got a lot more firepower, and it's now like a really, really good deck. It's like it's moving to the top of the decks. So that was proof also being in the finals.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the rest of the meta at the DLC, and this is the top 96. I stole a screen grab from Nive.
Thanks, Nive.
Is there anything on here that surprises you about this meta?
You mean besides the one Ruby Steel?
I wish I had seen that deck. It wasn't in any of the featured matches.
I know. I just wish someone would post their deck list from that. Come on, show it to us.
Yeah. Well, I think there was initially some surprise that Emerald Steel wasn't more represented after winning 2 NA DLCs back to back. Emerald Steel was never a big deck in Europe, and there is differences in the regions. It just is. Like, I know we're all playing the same game with the same cards at the same time, but there are regional differences in metas. That just it's that way in every game. But at the same time, what did Emerald Steel get this set? You know, they're not playing Calhoun, which is the best card that Steel got. They might be playing Go-Go, you know, but that's they're not playing Genie. I think that's kind of the short answer for everything we're seeing is like, who's playing Genie? Everything else not surprising. Ruby Sapphire has won the most EU of any. It won 2 out of 4 of the EU DLCs. So we know that Europe loves Ruby Sapphire, and I saw that French team tweeting like, the meta has been broken by Ruby Sapphire when all these people showed up to the finals with it. It didn't convert like they had hoped, that's for sure.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is just how low Ruby Amethyst is. Honestly, it's just so low. It was only like 7 decks out of the 96.
Right, and 3 of them made it to top 4.
And 3 of the 4, and 2 of the 4 Amethyst Steel, which I think is just more ammunition for Amethyst is the best ink color right now.
Something that I thought was interesting from this is every possible ink combination with Steel made it to the finals, or to day 2.
Did they? To day 2? This is just day 1 we're looking at.
This is the 96 players.
Yeah. 96 people were in day 1. You'll have to look at the top 16 to get to day 2.
Yeah. You're right. Okay, but still, the fact that
every Steel deck showed up. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Every Steel deck showed up and then realized they had no good answers to Genie. and then fell over, right?
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. Do you have a screenshot of the top 8?
I did not find that right off the bat.
I got some numbers. For you. I'm prepped. I'm prepared. So top 16 was 5 Emerald Amethyst, 3 Ruby Sapphire, 3 Ruby Amethyst, 2 Emerald Steel, 2 Amethyst Steel, and 1 Amber Steel. So that's 5 out of 16 steel decks.
It's not bad. But
yep, not bad. And then they all got eliminated that round.
They were combined.
No. One purple steel got to top 8.
Yeah, got to top 8.
Yeah.
But they were a combined 40-ish% of the field with steel decks. And 5 out of 16 is only 30%. So
nice.
They did not convert as well. Basically, it was Emerald Amethyst and Ruby Amethyst day.
Yep.
It was just their day. No doubt about it.
Yep. Absolutely.
With some really good
point, are you running anything besides Ruby Amethyst? Like
something
the deck just wins.
Something that you think can handle all the Ruby Amethyst that people are bringing and the Emerald Amethyst.
Like I was listening to Eric list all the reasons why Ruby Amethyst was so good. I'm like, yeah, he's right. That is just a solid deck.
Yes, I think you should be playing Amethyst. And luckily that still gives you a lot of options, right? It is still a toss-up whether Ruby Amethyst or Emerald Amethyst is the best deck. But beyond that, the purple steel allows you to play aggro, mid-range, or control. So, like, that's a very versatile color pairing. You can build any kind of whatever your play style is. You could build that in Amethyst Steel, and then Sapphire Amethyst is nasty. Is nastier than ever. And it just isn't showing up at these big events. But when it shows up in my store, I get pretty nervous. I really don't like playing against that deck unless I'm aggro. Unless I'm playing an aggro deck, I don't want to see Blurple, and because Blurple is so mean into I think these other Amethyst decks specifically.
Yeah, it's the power of Amethyst, which best ink with the power of Ramp. I mean,
yeah, it's just the thing is, like, when I'm playing Ruby Amethyst, I typically want the game to go long, right? Unless I'm playing against Ruby Sapphire, the longer the game goes, the higher my chance of winning is because my control is better. Except when I'm playing against Blurple, because the longer that game goes, the bigger their bombs are. And when they start playing Hades and shifting Elsa and all this stuff that I can't deal with easily, that can be a really tough matchup. And also, like, that a lot of people don't have a lot of practice into, right? It's still Rogue. It's still Mysterious. So that's a good choice. So there's 4 Amethyst decks. What's the other one? Amber? I have nothing to say about that at the moment. I really don't. I've seen some lists floating around. Obviously, Lilo's good. Obviously, Lilo and Genie can be good, but I have no impression of Amber Amethyst right now. But the other 4, all lethal.
What are you going to do?
James shrugs.
What are you going to do?
So play Amethyst.
What that does is play Amethyst, but also, again, what we've talked about over the last 2 years, and honestly is been proven, find the deck that you like, find a deck you want to pilot, and then learn it, and you will do well.
Yeah, of course.
Because knowing a deck, knowing what your lines are, knowing what your opponents can do, and what how you're going to play against other decks, that is at least as important as the deck you choose, is knowing your deck.
Yeah, the practice is everything, right? Like just knowing what your opponents could play on turn 3, on turn 4. Before you play a card, if I play this, what are they going to play? And having some basis. Okay, well, it's turn 3, so they're not going to play this. They're not going to play this. They could play this. That's huge. That's a huge advantage. Is walking into a match and knowing how your opponent can answer what you're going to do. And you can only get that by practicing. So James is right. Like, it doesn't really matter what deck you pick. Ultimately, you got to practice. Wise words over here from Mr. the Gamer. Practice. All right.
Mr. the Gamer Junior, if I remember correctly.
All right, let's talk about LCQs.
Again,
last chance qualifiers. They're formatted 32 pods of 32 players per pod. You have to win your pod to move on to the championship. 5 rounds, single elimination. Now, I don't know other games. You said that, the 5-game format for the best of is standard in other places. But is this kind of thing where it's kind of standard everywhere? And do you like it, love it, hate it, want to change it? What do you think?
I believe it's normal. I think it's great. You should, because look what happened, right? We had a last chance qualifier come out of nowhere and take the whole thing. Like, that creates cool storylines. That makes it more interesting. And I think that we should have way more people playing than even 96, and the LCQ boosts that up quite a bit. So I think that's great. I don't really have any strong opinions about the format other than as long as they're the same in both regions, I'd be happy.
I just remember when they first announced how it was going to run, there were a lot of people online who were like, oh, why don't we just run Swiss and you take the top 32?
No, it should be equivalent chance in as a DLC, right? Like, it should be the same. It should be as equally difficult as possible, with it being just a 1-day event versus a 2-day event.
Yeah, because in the case of the DLCs, the day 2 from top 64, if I remember correctly, that's you have to win 5 matches to win. Right? Is it top 64 match 32, 16, 8, 4, finals 6? You have to play 6 matches to win. So I mean, it's similar to that, where you have to go through a grueling day of you have to win every match in order to advance.
Yeah.
Not just like play a certain number of games and then coast on draws. It's not. You don't have to. It's none of that.
All right. So the winner and the top 8 are guaranteed a spot at Worlds.
I will say, making day 2 and then losing the first game and not getting to go to Worlds is pretty brutal. That's pretty brutal, that you have to win one more. So it's just like this group of people that all made day 2. It's such a small group of people. I think that's what feels so bad about it.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. You had mentioned that in Pokemon, there were hundreds and hundreds of people at Worlds. And I don't know if that's for the TCG specifically, or if you're talking about for all the Pokemon events combined. But I mean, maybe it's too early to start talking about Worlds, but it doesn't feel like there's going to be a whole lot of competitors there. And I'm going to bring this back up on screens. But this is kind of what they put out. The following players will have a slot in the World Championship. Players who have won a DLC. So there's been 6 in North America and 4 in Europe, right? So that's 10 plus 8 from the EU plus 8 from North America. Plus there's this like random DLC that's happening in Australia in February now.
Oh, right.
Are they going to be involved in this? Who knows? But if they are, then that puts it up to 25.
So this article is on this. What you're showing on the screen is from DisneyLorcana.com. It's a news article that they posted. They can obviously change it, but right now this is written in stone. This is how you get to Worlds. So if you're following this, no, the Australian one that they just announced that's happening in February does not go to Worlds, because this is saying these are your 3 ways right here, and that's it.
Well, somebody's going to win in Australia.
Yeah, and that's before Worlds is going to happen.
So that is the only person who may get an invite, is the person who wins Australia. And then you would have 27 people, and that is not possible. So
So you asked about Pokemon. It's different, right? Because they qualify on points, not on wins. But they have 3 age divisions. They have junior, senior, and masters. For masters, like the adult division, there is 125 from US and Canada, 125 from Europe, 100 from Latin America, 20 from Oceania, and 10 from Middle East and South Africa. And that's just the TCG.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's very different.
It's big.
It's big. Yeah.
I mean, do we think Lorcana will get there eventually? I mean, I know we keep saying this is a symptom of being the first year, and I'm the first to give Ravensburger grace, but 25, 26, 27 people just doesn't feel pretty epic. However, being the first year, I'm willing to give them some grace here.
I think the one benefit is for the spectator point of view that you get more opportunity to create those storylines. Because with this many players, you could conceivably know everyone that's playing. The day one, if we go through Swiss rounds, which I imagine we will, you'll get to feature a lot of players, right? Not everyone, but if they show us 8 games, you'll see more than half of them play, right? So you'll get a way better sense of who these top players are, what decks they're on. I think it makes it a better like sports fan experience because it's so few people. But it's going to be a better event overall when more people get to play 100%.
That's fair. That makes sense.
Now, Worlds is being held at Walt Disney World. There's going to be, as of right now, 26 competitors for the World Championship.
Kind of a strange number, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would assume that, like you mentioned, like 24 or 16 or 32 is a much more standard number. But what I'm thinking about this is they're holding it at Disney World, and I'm assuming they're not going to rent just like a room to hold it in, right?
Yeah. So that means the lobby of the
castle,
Grand Floridian.
Right. That means we're going to have what you would expect for Worlds, which is an event. I think they're going to have a decent amount of space. There's going to be lots of side events. There's going to be characters.
Yeah.
I think that what we're going to see is we're going to see them step it up for this. And again, it's not going to be anywhere near the size, but with only 26 players competing for the championship, I expect that the rest of it that's what they're going to be focusing on to let everyone else enjoy the weekend.
Yeah. And that's great. It feels more like a World Cup, like how esports will do like a World Cup and they'll pick like one team from all the different countries rather than the best of the best. This is the best of the best. They all like, I'm not making any kind of point about the skill of these players. I'm just the structure, the organization of it doesn't feel like what I imagine Worlds should be, but that's also just like based on Pokemon and other card games. So it doesn't mean Lorcana has to do it the same way necessarily. I agree. There will be a lot of people that want to be there. I want to be there. I'm sure that they'll sell 1,000 tickets or whatever. Right.
I hope so. I hope they sell 10,000.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4,000. I would hope to have at least
2,000 there. Sell 2,000 tickets, and we'll do some cool side events. We'll have a new set, won't we?
Well, we don't know the day. We don't know when. We don't know when it is.
Oh, it would have to be the very end of February, right? Because that set will come out like March 4th or something.
Right, sometime in March. So if the Worlds is in February, it's this set. If it's any time in March, it has to be late in March in order.
Woo! Bolt. Are we getting into this? Are we pivoting?
You had mentioned the new set, so I thought it was an appropriate time to bring it up.
We're gonna have a fight, dude.
All right. Wait. I got prepared for this.
He brought a prop, dude. Me and James have been fighting all day.
I'm putting on my tinfoil hat for all you conspiracy theorists out there who think that is coming.
He's got his armor on. He's steel. He's a steel character, y'all.
But he has an amber collar.
Yeah. Can we start there, Jared? Because you got into this.
Oh my god.
You were spreading the rumors.
Well, here's the thing. First, I put a post out there saying, who remembers when they shared that Stitch art where he's doing the tug of war? He's a steel card, but he had the purple, the amethyst. And I was like, I've bought into this hype too many times. Okay. But then somebody on Twitter posted a thing with the 3 Illumineers, and they had their ink casters, and they each have 2 inks in them.
Yeah.
And my silly brain
bamboozled.
forgot that they had always been 2 colors. And so I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this is a foreshadowing. And I was like, okay, I'm betting my lunch money that we're going to have dual color cards. But, I take it back. I wish I had never posted that, because I've heard a million times now, oh, they've always had 2 colors in their ink casters. Okay,
it's sorry. Really funny. It's so funny when you make a mistake on social media and somebody corrects you and you're like, oh, okay. But then for some reason, like 50 more people need to correct you the same way. Yeah. That's funny.
I did end up deleting them because they just even a day later, the responses are still coming in. I'm like, okay,
just everybody's saying the same thing. Okay, but let me make the case.
All right, fine. You go first.
I'll go first. Okay. First, let me make it clear. I don't know anything about anything. I never do. I never know anything about anything. Okay. 1, dual colors will come to this game. Can we all agree on that? Someday, there will be cards that are 2 different colors. Okay. So what we have is a Amber Bolt. It is obviously an Amber Bolt. He is wearing a Amber collar that is a sort of reimagining of the Amber lore symbol. The
Amber Weave, they call it.
The Amber Weave. Clearly, this is an Amber character. He has Amber in his background. We know how cards are designed. He also has some gladiator armor on one leg, like how a gladiator would wear on one arm. That is, you might say, steel in color, perhaps. This is the basis for why I think Breezy is a big proponent of this theory, that this might be referencing a dual color character. There are other hints, one being learn new tricks right there in the copy. The tweet that Lorcana put out also said something about the secrets, learning the secrets of Arcasius's island, right?
Yeah.
So
let me it's beyond the cast of cuddly critters lies an ancient secret just waiting to be discovered.
An ancient secret. Okay, so that's like narrative, but it could refer to gameplay. Learn new tricks clearly refers to gameplay, but we're also talking about friendly pets abound, so learn new tricks fits that theme. I am not a dual color truther or anything. I just want to point out 2 things. One, that this is different than the Stitch thing. The Stitch thing was the steel symbol in a amethyst color. This is not simply 2 colors. It's more than that. It's the amber symbol and a thematic representation of steel, which is armor. And I want to make the case that armor represents the steel archetype.
Well, not just that.
James has several counter examples.
Hold on. Before you get to James, one of the things that they mention in the archetypes, like the symbology, is steel has these squares. And you see, like here in the sky, that there's squares. And this is also very squared off right here. So, I mean, yes, this is why I was buying into the dual color inks, is because everything that you said, like especially the learn new tricks combined with the amber, combined with the steel. I mean, you got a square right here, square right here, square right there. Like all these things kind of make it seem like dual color inks are coming.
I will say this. They know people would think that when they made this. Right?
All right, James.
If nothing else, they knew people would be thinking that when they made this image. Okay. Oh, we can't hear James.
He's muted. Okay.
Say, can I have a preface too?
Yeah.
I know everything. No, anyway, so my argument is, first of all, Jared, you kept saying square, and that is not true. It is cubes. Cubes represent steel.
What is a cube but a squared square?
Yeah, but still, if you look
The
on things
squariest square.
like the Prince Charming, I think it is, art, those are cubed clouds and cubed trees. All right. So the other aspect is there is no steel representation of the ink pattern on any of this armor, unlike the collar that is purely amber weave.
Yes.
So there is no representation of the ink itself.
The ink symbol, you mean?
So I get that the armor is steel, but armor can be any color. It can represent anything.
But there are no amber cards where they're wearing armor, except that one Maximus has horse armor. That's the only one.
And
we
an
have
animal.
300 amber cards, and none of them are wearing armor except this bolt.
But we
need
have
the Illuminators on here.
We also have, though, cards like the Snow White that is in steel that is wearing amber armor.
She's wearing armor.
But she's wearing amber armor.
Steel card is wearing armor.
We also have Sapphire card Anna wearing armor.
We do have Sapphire Anna wearing armor. She is not a steel card for sure. Yes.
So
the only player with steel.
Exclusive to steel, that armor has to appear in steel.
Not conclusive. Just evidence.
So I agree that there's a chance that we are getting dual inks. I think it's a much, much smaller chance than a lot of people are thinking right now. And
it could be, I mean, think about all the mechanics we've gotten since locations, right? We got Sing Together, we got Discard to Shift, we got what this set had when you ink, you do something, right? Last set had the cost reduction. Like Giants, the Giants mechanic.
Or the pay extra that came in set 5. Was it set 5 or set 4? We had to pay extra to do something when you play it.
Kicker.
Kicker.
Yes. So all of those things were one-off mechanics. Everything since locations has just been a one set mechanic. So we could just get one set of dual colors. That would be very Pokemon. Pokemon has done it a few times over the years, but it's not like they introduced dual colors and then the game just had that. You know,
the location's the only thing that have continued, and also it has been, when this set releases, 1 year since locations were introduced.
Dang, that's crazy.
I know. Or 1 million years in card years.
So it is possible that they are waiting and only introducing a major change once per year. And
that could be too, yeah.
Dual color would be a major change.
Look at you, James. You've come over to the dual color.
No, I'm just saying that it's possible, but I just still don't think that. I don't think that armor is the strong argument that a lot of people seem to think it is.
It's fair.
We
really won't know.
I like one set mechanics. I like the way that they mark time. I like the way that when you play that card or you look at that card, you remember the set that it's from. It gives sets strong identities. I really like that. If they're going to add new things to the game, which they will, and I want them to, I would like things like new rarities, like new art card types, like new chase stuff. If they're going to add like permanent new additions to the game, I think that they should start there with like Super Enchanted or whatever, you know?
Or even a level between the legendary and enchanted. If there was a layer between those two that made some of the more difficult cards, I don't know.
I still
like layer.
Since the game was revealed, since the rules were revealed, I have always felt like legendaries should be different. And they started going in that direction by extending the borders, and then they added the like finish, that extra raised layer to make legendaries more special. Because I've always felt like they should do that. I think all legendaries should be full art. They shouldn't have the crazy enchanted treatment necessarily, but I think all legendary cards should be full art cards. I think that would be.
They've been moving that way because we can see more and more of the art in the text area in this set than we ever have before. It's almost very clear. I mean, it's still faded out by the color of the text box.
Yeah,
but it's much clearer in this set. One thing I wanted to talk about, the last thing we'll talk about with the Bolt art, and it's nothing to do with the color scheme or whatever. It's interesting to me that Bolt is obviously a gladiator with the design and the look. If you look at as you mentioned, the background with that, essentially looks like an energy fence or a water fence of some kind.
I think that's just the waves of the sea, the way the waves make like the mazes. Oh, actually, no, you're right. It does look like,
because it's going through that device.
It's going through that thing, yeah.
And then there's those steps up above that look like it could be like ways to hop around through the gladiator arena that they probably are competing in. And yet the text says friendly pets and cuddly critters. That does not sound gladiator-like to me.
No, it could just be a Bolt thing. It kind of makes me think of what are those things where the dogs run through the obstacle courses?
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
It kind of makes me think of that.
It's just weird that he's wearing gladiator armor, and they're like, "Oh, look, but he's a friendly critter."
Yeah, but that's Dreamborn stuff, baby. You know.
But anyway, I think it's interesting that they can tease us that much with just one.
My boy.
Next up,
my boy.
What is this?
2 set reveals at once. Coming Q2, Reign of Jafar.
And I will say, you were talking about the live stream. This was my favorite part of the live stream, was just Baker's enthusiasm when he was talking about this set.
He was so amped up.
Hear my voice.
He loves it. So this is when we'll get our next Illuminator quest, right? Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm just saying that speculatively. I think that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Fighting Jafar for the crown.
Again,
I mean,
1 year.
Another year goes by. This has been set up, right? He hypnotized Basil to go find the other half of the crown.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know he got it. So
and if you were watching the stream also, when they were opening packs to fill time, Spessy was reading off some of the flavor text surrounding this, and there was flavor text of different little bits here and there of the crown and other things. So yeah, it's been layered in there for multiple sets now.
Exciting.
And also,
love Jafar.
One aspect of that leads to thinking that the Illuminator's Quest is definitely coming is the reveal of that D23 promo, the Iago.
Yes, next year's D23 promo is a card from this set.
Yes, from that set. And the thing is, though, is that when you see the art on the ink symbol and on the willpower and strength and other places along the art, there is shifting sand effect. Similar to the inky swirls from the Ursula Illuminator's Quest special cards. So nice. I think that may be a clue that the sand effect will be the special cards in the Illuminator's Quest for the Jafar set, just like those inky cards were for the Illuminator's Quest for the Ursula set.
It'll be cool to finally get a Genie Jafar. That'll be a good legendary, I assume.
I would hope so.
Yep. The gladiator stuff was making me think of Hercules, though. Back in the previous one, I wonder if Hercules will be kind of a sub theme for Ezekiel's. It's Ezekiel now, guys. Ezekiel's Island.
It's
It took me a long time, but here's the card.
Arcasia.
Yeah, there it is. You see on the 4 for the ink symbol, you see that little bit of stuff coming off the top to the right of it.
Yes,
and
that's
then
cool.
On the willpower and strength, there's a little bit there. There's just flowing sand in a little few other places.
Yes,
you can see the sand on the far left, bottom left, next to the text box. So cool. I think that we're definitely going to see an Illuminator's Quest, and that this is going to be the format of the special cards.
I hope I don't expect this, but I hope it's not just like, oh, we beat him, the crown gets the crown falls into the sand and gets buried, and now Scar wants the crown, and then a year from now we'll fight Scar for the crown. You know what I mean?
Right.
I hope we're not just gonna keep doing this over and over, because we did Ursula wants the crown. Now we're doing Jafar wants the crown.
I don't
You
think
want
so.
someone besides the crown, is what I'm hearing.
Everyone wants to be king of Lorcana.
I mean, we don't even really get obviously the crown is power, but like that's pretty much all we know, right?
Right.
Just like crown makes you strong and bad. Big bad
Might
strong.
Right.
Makes you strong bad.
Now the fun thing is that we can already start guessing now that we know that Jafar is the big bad for this set.
Yeah.
We can already start guessing what's going to be the next one, and I think it's pretty sure it's going to be Hades, because he's already had a few cards hinting that he was planning something.
Right.
Back in like sec 4, I think.
I guess that means we know what the set champ card will be too, right? Because Ursula was the card during Ursula's return. So in Reign of Jafar, we have to assume Jafar will be the set champ card.
Makes
Yeah, maybe.
sense.
So, yeah.
You scrolled past it really quick when you were looking at the at Twitter, but we also got some accessories.
Great play mats. Love them. Great boxes.
Yes. And boxes and sleeves.
We can look forward to the same sleeves.
Can we please, for the love of everything holy, have better sleeves?
Here's what I'm thinking. They announced the Ultra Pro making the deck boxes and the binders, and those are coming up. I think it's possible that maybe there were some contracts or something for the sleeves and the deck boxes that have to time out. And I think maybe with them contracting with Ultra Pro, maybe we can see some enhanced sleeves and boxes. Well, we already got the box.
And I sure hope so.
From Ultra Pro sometime in the future. But also the Lilo gift box with a special Lilo alternate art card.
This is very cool. It says 5 random booster packs. That's the only thing I don't like. I want one of each.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed.
I think they're going to probably be putting in one of each until they run out of one.
Yeah.
And then you'll get 2 of something until they run out of something else.
Maybe.
So initially, I think they're probably going to try and make them one of each.
But alternate art is great. Another thing I love about Pokemon, that when you buy the blisters, the 3-pack blisters, you get a promo card that is just alternate art. So more of that. This is a very playable card too, which is going to make people want to buy 4 of these things.
Yep.
I probably would have bought 4 of them anyway. This will be a good Disneyland day for us, James.
I was going to say this feels like a Pokemon move right here. This feels like
it's very Pokemon. Yeah, they could put a pin or a little figurine in there too, and it would be a Pokemon.
That would be awesome.
God, I love pin collections. Pokemon kills it with those. I would love Lorcana to start sticking pins in these things.
Oh,
it's such a Disney thing too, right?
Kid people would go mad for that.
Oh, I would love that.
Collect.
That's a free one, man. Take that from me. Put pins in the gift sets. Okay. Alternate art cards are great. More of those. More, please. Love that. And then the assortment of boosters is great too. Those things, man, once because you got to think, this comes out in March. It's already so hard to find first chapter. And I know there's no first chapter in that picture. It says set 2 through 6. Okay.
Yeah, Rochelle confirmed. No set 1.
Okay. Well, in any event, this is the kind of thing that gets way more valuable, because by the time this comes out, set 2 will be 18 months old, right? And then these will sit on the shelf for 2 sets, and then it'll be 2 years since set 2 came out, and these things just get more and more appealing to people over time.
Trying to finish, as players.
Thanks for making me feel old.
This is a great product, because as players come into the fold, into the game, they're gonna be like, where can I get stuff? It's like, well, they're putting out a gift set, this set, where you can get a few random packs to help fill in your deck, your collection.
Super fun way to get started, right? I would love to give this to somebody new and be like, here's a sample of what you've missed so far. They can save the dividers. Those are pointless. Maybe the one art one, but I don't know why there's like 3 yellow dividers, and I
think that's the other side. I think it's amber symbol on one side and the art on the other.
Okay,
for all 6 of them or whatever.
Great product. Love that. I want more stuff like that. I want more stuff like that. That's not just on new set launch day. Like space them out, you know?
Yes.
Like 3 weeks into launch and then 3 more weeks. Like do a new gift set thing all the time, and I'll keep buying it.
Like I hate to bring up another card game, but I'm playing the Pokemon Pocket TCG. And I'm just like, I'm dying for this mini set to come out because I want to open more packs. And
What, the 16th? It's coming up.
The 17th, yeah, like 17th? A week from today. So if Lorcana had something like that where they released a mini set, and I know it's probably harder to do with a physical game, but I'd be willing to spend money.
People are gonna get upset if you say that, man. People are really diehard about just 4 sets. That's all I can keep up with,
and barely at that.
Yeah,
I'm with you. More cards is better. If you don't want to collect it, don't.
Well,
if you don't want to collect it, don't.
All right, well, Eric, what you got going on these days? What are you working on?
So much. Oh my god, I'm so busy. When this is coming out on Friday, right? Yeah. Can I plug my podcast?
Yeah, of course.
I would love to plug my podcast. I never plug my podcast.
I'll be honest, I didn't even realize you had a podcast.
That's because I never plug it.
Yes, please plug away.
Yeah, listen to my show. It's not a Lorcana show. It's a video game show. It's called Your Favorite Game. I do it with my the editor-in-chief of The Gamer, Stacey Henley, and our news lead, George Foster. And it's a really fun show. It's a topics show. So we pick a mechanic or a trope or a character or just something that's in games, and we talk about all the games that has that. So like this month we did, for the holidays, we did your favorite game was snow. We talked about all our favorite games that have snow. It's a super fun show. We get really deep. We do lots of throwbacks. We talk about games you haven't thought about in 15 years, and you go, oh my God, I remember that game. It's that kind of show. So that comes out every Friday. And check that out. Other than that, tons of Game Awards stuff going on right now. I hope you guys will be watching. Game Awards are so much fun. And I did a bunch of previews from stuff that I can't even tell you about right now until the Game Awards are out.
Ooh,
right? When's this come out? When's the show come out? Friday?
Friday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we did stuff for Split Fiction, Joseph Ferry's new game that's super cool. I got to see the new Savage Planet, so I've been doing lots of previews, lots of interviews around the Game Awards, all on The Gamer.
You're so busy playing video games and writing about
busy boy.
Oh, man, my heart bleeds for you. Awesome. Well, as always, we really enjoy you coming on. Appreciate your insight. Enjoy talking about the Continentals over in Europe. I'm excited to see how it plays out in North America. We didn't talk about this, but Mr. James here got a ticket. Did you get a ticket for LCQ?
I will be attending. I'll be there.
Yeah, I didn't even get an attending ticket. We already talked about this, but I'm hoping to get off the wait list.
Good. Yeah. I hope you
plan on being there one way or the other. I would
just show up, say, don't you know who I am, and shake your fist.
I'll stand outside. We'll sign Flounders for ticket.
I'm going to go play side events. I'm really hoping to get to do lots of interviews with players and the winners and make some content this time. So hopefully I'll see everybody there.
You're going to interview me, right?
I'm going to interview James about his LCQ. What was it like to lose in round 1? That'll be my first question.
Jinxing me already.
All right, man. Well, again, thank you for coming on. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to Eric's podcast on Friday,
your favorite game
drops same day as this. So after you're done listening to this, go check it out. And if you liked what you heard and you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click that like button. You can subscribe on YouTube, the podcasting platform of your choice. You can find me on the website formerly known as Twitter at Citizens of Lorcana and Blue Sky. And James, where can they find you?
You can find me everywhere online at Dan Regal. And thank you, Eric. And thank you all for listening and watching. And we'll see you next time.